G'day guys and welcome back to this week's fishing report. Let's get straight into what's been biting around Sydney. So the Kingfish again have been more regular over the past week with some catches in Botany Bay and the Port Hacking. Botany Bay has seemed to be producing some really nice kingfish with fish in excess of 70 centimetres. A few people even bagging out on kingfish around the runway. So Botany Bay seems to be producing some nice consistent kingfish over the last week. In the Port Hacking as well, there's been some nice rat-style kingfish. So rats are, say, 60 to 65 centimetre kingfish, either just legal kingfish or below. They've been eating some rather big baits though, some pretty big size squid and yellowtail. So if you can grab some live bait, particularly some squid, you should be in for a nice little session on the kingfish. The Flathead again, springtime, the Flathead will head up nice and shallow, looking for those run-out tides, like I said in the last week's fishing report, looking for run-out tides, fishing the edges of those drop-offs, have been producing some really consistent captures of Flathead. I went out over the last couple of days and caught some really nice Flathead fish, upwards of 50 centimetres, really consistent, particularly on the back half of that run-out tide. Another fish that's been rather consistent as of late is our Australian bass. Now, bass season is officially launched at the start of September. There's been a lot of people going out and catching some really nice bass in the morning and in the afternoon. They haven't been eating the surface lures just yet. We've got to wait for the water to really heat up for the surface action to start coming along for the bass. So using shallow diving soft plastics. So using shallow diving hard bodies and lightly weighted soft plastics have been producing some really nice Australian bass. So let's get into this week's weather report and talk to you guys about when you should be fishing and where. So looking at Saturday and the weather report for Saturday, again, with the weather report, please make sure you're checking before you head out. These reports that I'm talking about are about 24 hours before Saturday, so please make sure that you are checking the weather report before you head out. It could change overnight. So Saturday has some really nice northwest winds, pretty consistent around that 50 to 20 kilometre an hour mark. So in some areas it could be difficult to fish and others could be really nice. A swell of about 1 metre, which is nice to be able to go out offshore. If you want to head out offshore, that might be a really good option. We've got a swell at about 1 metre, so heading out offshore might be an option. Again, 15 to 20 kilometre hour northwest winds. It looks to be variable at the moment, so it could be 15 to 20, but it also could be 25 to 30. So please be careful if you're going to go out offshore. So looking at our tide changes, we've got a low tide at about 4:45 in the morning, a high tide at 11:15, and then again another low tide at about 4:45 in the afternoon. So in regards to that and talking about the back end of the full moon, traditionally the back end of the full moon has never really produced some really nice consistent fishing for me, but I still will go out fishing. But what I will always have in the back of my mind is the fishing will be tough, so you need to make sure you have at least 2 different things that you want to target when you go out for your fishing session. So whether it be in the morning or the afternoon, this will completely change based upon the tide, because in the morning we have a run-in tide, and in the morning, in the afternoon, we have a run-out tide. So if we're going to be fishing in the morning, what I'm going to be doing, because the swell's down, I'm going to quickly head out around to Oak Park and a few of the squid grounds, seeing if I can get 3 to 4 live squid. If not, I might head to Middle Ground and see if I can get some live bait, some yellowtail, head back into the system, slowly troll those around for an hour or two. If I don't get any luck, I'm then going to flick some lures around if I see some nice looks on the sounder where the kingfish will be or might be. I'm going to have a soft plastics rod ready to go to drop the soft plastic down as well. So I might have a fish with soft plastics for an hour or two. What I'm really waiting for is my plan B. So the run-in tide's really good for kingfish, and it's going to be working really well. What I'm really waiting for is about 9:30. At about 9:30, what I'm going to do is head up to the shallow sand flats. I'm going to put on a little bent minnow hard body, about 100 mil bent minnow, and I'm going to flick the shallows for some flathead. So the flathead are going to be waiting on those edges early in the morning on Saturday, waiting for the water to go up on those flats and for them to be able to follow that water up onto the flats. And so around 9:30, which is about an hour before the top of the tide, the flathead should be up there and feeding actively by then. So I'm going to slowly work my way up onto those flats, casting that bent minnow around to see if I can find a flathead in shallow. Maybe even find one on a drone, try and get a flathead bite on the drone as well. That'd be something cool to do. But also very difficult. I've tried multiple times. It's not as easy as what you think it might be. If we're going to fish Saturday afternoon, it's the opposite. We've got a run out tide pretty close to sunset. The bottom of the tide's about 4:45, so pretty close to sunset. I will change my tack completely. I'll do something similar to what I was doing last week. I'd fish an edge. So if we're going to fish the whole day, I would fish an edge, and that edge could be a shallow sand flat leading to a drop off. And what I'm going to be doing is particularly targeting the back half of that run out tide. I'm going to be using soft plastics, so small prawn style soft plastics or baitfish style soft plastics, no bigger than 3 inch, on a 1/4 ounce or 1/6 ounce jig head, sitting in about 5 meters, casting into about 1.52 meters if you can. That's a perfect scenario. Again, could be very different to where you might be heading. Casting those soft plastics all the way down to the bottom of the tide, should be finding some really nice flathead doing that. Be pretty hard to miss them if that's what you want to do. So the locations that I'll be fishing in the morning, again, go out to Oak Park, all the squid spots out there, try and get a few squids. If not, I'm going to go to Middle Ground, grab some live bait, head back into the Port Hacking and try a few spots for kingfish. They've been outside Burraneer Bay. They've been around Lily Pilly and Southwest Arm. So I'm going to troll some live baits around those 3 areas first of all. And if I do see some good signs on the sounder, I might spend a bit more time in that area, leaving the live bait down, and I might flick some soft plastics around as well to see if they're willing to take a soft plastic. Once it gets to about 9:30, I'm going to head up to the shallow sand flats around Main Bar. There's some really nice flats in Southwest Arm and Northwest Arm as well. And I'm going to be flicking around a bent minnow style hard body along those shallow flats to see if I can catch some flathead. If I'm going to be fishing into the afternoon, again with that run out tide, I'm going to be sitting on an edge. Okay, so a really good edge for you guys in the Port Hacking is along Main Bar there. Fishing along that edge in that run out tide all the way down to the bottom of the tide. Now for our Botany Bay people, the kingfish have been feeding really well around the runways. So in the morning, go get some live bait, either out offshore or in the live bait spot in Botany Bay, which is just around the corner from the runways there. Head around to the runways, either anchor up or drift, whatever you prefer. Again, that spot will be very busy over the weekend. I'm predicting it to have thousands of boats there because there's been a lot of reports of some nice kingfish there. So please be careful when you're doing that. If you have an electric motor spot lock is so much easier than dropping an anchor down. And then feeding your live baits along that runway there to see if you can get some kingfish on that. And then, again, you could apply the similar tactics to what I'm going to be doing in the Port Hacking to Botany Bay. Head up around Towra and the shallow flats around Towra, and head up to 1.5 meters, even a meter of water, casting little bent minnow style hard bodies and seeing if you can get a nice flathead who might be out on the sand flats chasing some fish. And then same again for the run out time of the afternoon. I'll go around towards, there's a point in Towra there. There's a point at Towra where the tide will be running out and I can just sit right on the corner of that point there at Towra and fish for some nice flathead there. If not, around Como Bridge, there's a nice sand flat there. And also Warrenoa River is full of really good drop-offs along the skinny water there if you want to target some flathead as well. So there's some really good spots for Saturday. So for Sunday, again, the tides have only slightly shifted. The swell height's still a little bit down, but the wind is kicked up a bit more consistently, so it might be 20 to 25 Ks from the northwest. So if we're going to go fish the saltwater, I'd apply the exact same strategies that I will on Saturday in Sunday. So again, run in tight in the morning, targeting kingfish, salmon. Once it gets to the top end of that high tide, go up the shallow flats, target some flathead, and then the back end of that run out tide, sit on an edge, drop some soft plastics along that edge to target some flathead. But for me, only because the wind's going to be up and it's just going to be a bit annoying to fish, I personally think, in my boat, it's just going to be annoying because I really like fishing lightly weighted soft plastics and I need low wind conditions to do that. Otherwise, I just feel like it's too hard for me to go out and do that. What I'm going to do, I'm excited. I'm going to go and target some nice Australian bass in the morning and late afternoon. So I'm going to do 2 different fishing sessions, but only short windows. I'm only going to fish for about 2 to 3 hours. So I'm going to fish from about 5:30 in the morning till 8:30, and then about 3 o'clock to 5:30 in the afternoon, targeting some Australian bass out towards the weir on the Georges River there. So we're in the brackish water where the salt meets the fresh. That's where the bass are going to be. So I'm going to head out there and target some nice Australian bass on Sunday. So that's going to do it for this week's fishing report. I hope you all go out this weekend, have a fish. Again, it's the back end of the full moon. Some people think that time of the month or that time of the moon phase can be tough. I don't disagree with it, but I agree with it to a certain extent. I feel like you need to make sure you have a plan A and B for those days, because some fish might not be as active on the back end of the full moon as others. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment down below. Let me know what you're going to go out and do. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.